So when we know that, when we recognize who Allah is, then when we pick up that call and we start communicating, we will have some respect, some decency, some engagement. Qur'an is a call to humanity. Day and night we need to read the Qur'an. Hazrat Shaykh Sa'ad, Damat Barakatim, used to always say that it is such a calamity upon the ummah, such a calamity upon the ummah, that in the morning when we wake up, we want to see what is our latest message on our mobile phones. What is the latest news? But we forget that the latest news that Allah has given us, which is the Qur'an. We forget the Qur'an. Our Yasin goes out of the window. Our Fajr Salah goes out of the window. In the evening when we sleep, we want to see what is the last message we have received. We forget the Qur'an. That, oh insan, your beginning and your end has to be the Qur'an. Surah Tabarak, Surah Waqiyah goes out of the window. So this is the caller, Allah. And what is the call itself? The kalam of Allah, the word of Allah, the speech of Allah. Yasin wal Qur'an al Hakim, Qaf wal Qur'an al Majid, Kitabun uhkimat ayatuhu, thumma fussilat min ladun hakimin khabir, dhalika al kitab la rayba fi, wa muhaiminan alayh. Allah Ta'ala calls Himself Hakim. Allah Ta'ala calls the Qur'an Hakim as well, the most wise. Allah calls Himself Majid. Allah calls the Qur'an Majid as well, the most exalted. Allah calls Himself Muhaymin. Allah calls the Qur'an Muhaymin as well. Allah calls Himself Aziz, the one with authority. Allah calls the Qur'an Aziz as well, the one with authority. That Qur'an is part of Allah. It is a call that came out from within the Dhat of Allah. But unfortunately, we do not realize. Many a times we think that why is the khutbah said in Arabic, the ayat of the Qur'an been mentioned, then why do not make our salah in English as well? So basically the Qur'an, Allah Ta'ala has revealed it in Arabic because it is the most eloquent language in the world. But we are here, we do not know Arabic. So instead of us going there, we want to bring the Qur'an down to us. It doesn't work that way. We need to learn. Learn what Allah is telling us. Learn what the Qur'an is. Learn what knowledge and in-depth Allah has kept in the Qur'an. Yes, we may learn with translation, but translation is not enough. We need to improve our capabilities, our capacity in the Arabic language so we can learn, we can understand the Qur'an directly. There are many people in the African countries, North Africa, etc. They are not bound to learn Arabic. They do not teach Arabic in their schools and in their universities. But out of their own will, the children learn Arabic. Parents teach Arabic to their children. Out of their own will. And they understand the Qur'an. Women understand the Qur'an, men understand the Qur'an, children understand the Qur'an. So nevertheless, I was speaking about the Arabs, how they used to boast on their language. So when those 7 poems were hung upon the Kaaba, and decades went by, no one could beat it, Qur'an started revealing, and slowly, one by one started dropping. Their own family members used to go and pull the poetry out. That this Qur'an is so amazing. Allah Ta'ala Himself says in the Qur'an, Allah Himself gives a challenge that if you think you are too intelligent and you have all the resources of the world, then try to bring one surah like the Qur'an, one chapter. They failed. Human beings fail till today. Then Allah gave another challenge. Okay, one chapter is too much for you. Bring one ayah, one verse like the Qur'an that can match the eloquency of the Qur'an. There was a person from Iran in the past century, Abdullah bin Muqaffa his name was, very eloquent in his Arabic studies, PhD, etc. So someone told him, a group of people, an organization, that these Muslims, they boast upon their Qur'an a lot. And you are very profound in your Arabic language. Why don't you create something similar to the Qur'an, so then we can show them that we also have something. So he said, give me 1 year of wage and I'll sit down and do this. 1 year of wage in advance. So they gave him his ration. So for 1 year he sat in his home and he started writing verses and verses. After 1 year of effort, he created 1 page of his own script. So now he says, now I am satisfied that this 1 page of mine will match the Qur'an. So now he took his script with him. And while he was walking in one of the streets in his own town, there was a little girl reciting the Qur'an. And the window was open. And he happened to walk by, and this girl was reciting the Qur'an, and she came upon the verse, وَقِيلَ يَا أَرْضُ ابْلَعِي مَاءَكِ وَيَا سَمَاءُ أَقْلِعِي وَغِيضَ الْمَاءِ وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ وَاسْتَوَتْ عَلَى الْجُودِيِّ وَقِيلَ بُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. If we try to translate it, it doesn't have the same effect as the Arabic. But nevertheless, Allah Ta'ala speaks about the ship of Nuh alayhi salam. That when the entire tsunami finished and the earth was commanded to swallow and the heavens was commanded to halt, وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ, and Allah Ta'ala's order had stopped, has come to an end, and the ship ended up on the mountain of Judi. وَقِيلَ بُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ, and the transgressors were cursed. This is the translation. But in this, when he heard this verse, he went into a tremor. He started staggering. He came home and he ripped his entire script. He said, 1 verse of the Qur'an ate all my eloquency. How can I match the whole Qur'an? That these are only 19 words in which Allah Ta'ala has placed 21 different types of grammatical eloquency in there. 1 verse of the Qur'an. There are many other verses. So this Sab'a Mu'allaqa, the Arabs used to hang upon the Kaaba. People started taking it off. Surah Al-Haqqa came. And it was also amazing that the Arabs that used to oppose Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the day, at night they used to go and listen to the Quran of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They used to say, this man reads too beautiful Quran. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, one of the reasons that people would not like him in Makkah is that when he used to read the Quran, the children, the women and everyone else used to come and listen to him. His Quran is too beautiful. We can't miss it. So it so happened that one night even Umar radiallahu anhu went to the Kaaba and he decided to listen to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to face Hajarul Aswad at that time. So Hajarul Aswad, the Kaaba, and on that side is Baytul Maqdis as well. So they all used to come in one direction. So Umar radiallahu anhu used to hide behind the ghilaf of the Kaaba and used to listen to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reciting Surah Al-Haqqa, which was revealed at that time. Al-Haqqatu mal-Haqqatu wa ma adraka mal-Haqqa. So because they knew the Arabic, and so suddenly it came out from his mouth, Ma ash'ara, what a beautiful poet this man is. So the next ayat that was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wa ma huwa biqawli sha'ir, that this is not a word of a poet. So then again, Umar radiallahu anhu got a shock. Ma akhana, this person is a magician as well. He's a fortune teller, he knows what I'm saying. Wala biqawli kahin, the second verse, the third verse, wala biqawli kahin, that this is not a word of a fortune teller. Tanzilum min rabbil alameen. He is a true prophet and this is a word of Allah. So nevertheless, I'll finish off now in 2-3 minutes. The last qasida, the last poem that was left on the door of the Kaaba was of the poetry of Imrul Qais. He was known as the king of the poets. His Arabic was unmatchable. It is said when he was young, and in his tribe and his forefathers, etc., everyone were very good in poetry. When he was young, for about 7 to 8 years, he did not utter any word of poetry. So the father, he was a king of the time, he called the ministers and he said, take this child, take him to some distant land and leave him there. I don't think he's my child. So they said, what are you saying? They said, because he's 8 years old and he haven't said any poetry till now. He cannot be my child. I think he's someone else's child. So this is how they used to boast on their language. So they took him far away. And the minister said, your father has ordered that we have to leave you here. So he says, why? I'm going to die here. So he said, because you haven't uttered any word of poetry. So then he said, قِفَا نَبْكِ مِنْ ذِكْرَى حَبِيبٍ وَمَنْزِلِي فَسُقْتَ اللِّوَى بَيْنَ الدُّخُولِ وَحَوْمَلِي. And he goes on. So the minister caught him and brought him back to his father and he said, you saying your son can't say poetry, he has beat all the poetry of his time. And that poetry was hung onto the door of the Kaaba for years and for decades. He passed away as well, his poetry was there. So someone told his sister that remove your brother's poetry from the door of the Kaaba. Don't you see that Qur'an is being revealed on Muhammad? So she says, no, I'm still not satisfied. I think my brother's poetry is much more eloquent. So then they came, this verse revealed upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the same verse which I recited earlier. وَقِيلَ يَا أَرْضُ ابْلَعِي مَاءَكِ وَيَا سَمَاءُ أَقْلِعِي وَقِيضَ الْمَاءُ وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ وَاسْتَوَتْ عَلَى الْجُودِيِّ وَقِيلَ بُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Then she went to the Kaaba and removed this poetry as well. This one verse has finished 90 couplets of my brother. So this is the Qur'an, my brothers. Let us understand the value of the Qur'an. And upon whom it was revealed, we need to understand that on a different gathering. So if we know the caller, we know the call itself, and upon whom the call came to, then we have no excuse of excusing ourselves from the Qur'an, from reciting the Qur'an, from understanding the meaning of the Qur'an. The month of Rajab is here. Then Sha'ban is coming. Then Ramadan is coming. Let us start preparing from now, daily recite Qur'an. I would say in daily we should have a mahfil and a majlis of Qur'an in our house. Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu used to say that there is nothing more soothing to a father than when he walks in his house, he sees his children reciting Qur'an. We have mahfil, na'udhu billah, of movies. Father is also watching, mother is also watching, children are also watching. Mahfil of serial, TV serials, or this serial is coming, that's cartoons. We have mahfil of footballs. Manchester is playing and Chelsea is playing. I don't support them, by the way. So let's go and watch. Everyone sitting together and watch. What about the mahfil of the Qur'an? Early in the morning, recite Yasin together. In the evening, recite Tabarak together. Tabarak is such a beautiful surah of the Qur'an that a person, when he goes in his grave, that surah Tabarak will come to save you. Surah Tabarak will come to save you. Qur'an is a living being. In this world is invisible. In the year after it will be visible to you. May Allah Ta'ala give me and one and all the tawfiq. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,